Like the kind of the doghouse.
Yes, people, your eyes are not deceiving you. This is not a prank. This isn't a drill. This isn't Photoshop. Well, it probably is Photoshop, but this is not fake. This is no joke. Terrance Crawford, Errol Spence is official for the undisputed welterweight championships of the world, July 29th, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. This is the fight that boxing has wanted for so long. The biggest fight in boxing today, bar none. Usyk and Fury is cute, but it is nothing compared to Spence and Crawford. Spence and Crawford, and I'm not disrespecting Usyk and Fury are great, but Spence and Crawford is the fight in boxing today. Two of the best pound for pound fighters in the world. Two, I think, of the best just fighters any weight class in the world. Two of the just probably the biggest dogs in boxing as well. Two guys who will not quit in there. Two guys who will give it everything. Two guys who are experienced now. This is the fight that we've all wanted for so long. And now, boxing, we finally have it. People were saying these two are never going to fight. They were saying Spence is afraid, Crawford's afraid. They were saying one's ducking the other. They was talking about, Crawford, when the fight was talked about after Spence beat Ugas, they were saying, oh, Crawford was pricing himself out. They were saying that Spence was lowballing Crawford. I don't know what has broke the tide, essentially, or what has been the difference in this negotiations, but I could care less because we have finally got the fight we all wanted, the fight that boxing has wanted for so long, the big one. And I think I just got to explain why this fight is so big to why you don't know. First, you go for the fight. Look at Terrance Crawford, undisputed at 140 pounds, a champion, a world champion at 135 pounds, has the opportunity to become a two-time undisputed world champion, has gone up to welterweight and has stopped everybody, I'm pretty sure, that he has stepped in the ring with. He dominated at 135, dominated at 140. A guy who is an absolute bag of tricks, can do anything. He's a switch hitter, he's a slick boxer. When he has you hurt, everybody says it. He's one of the very best finishers in boxing. Somebody who, when he has you hurt, does not let you off the hook. And that's something that, as boxing fans, everybody loves. He has finished everybody. He fought Sean Porter and was the first man to finish him. Now that itself, even though it was a little bit dubious, it was still an incredible achievement. And I think Terrance Crawford has the chance to, I think, personally, looking at it, I think he may be the pound for pound best fighter in the world at the moment. I don't really see who else is there for him to challenge at the moment. Canelo lost to Bivol and Canelo's kind of slowing down. Usyk, if he can get a few wins, maybe he can get back up there. But there isn't really many, I think, at the moment. And Crawford now, I think, if people didn't believe he was up there pound for pound, this fight here will, I think, show everybody that he is there. Show everybody that he is one of the very best fighters in the world. And I think if he can beat Spence, I think it would be one of the most impressive reigns I think a boxer has had ever. For a man to go to 135, be a champion, go to 140 and then be undisputed champ. What you are potentially seeing with Terrance Bud Crawford is greatness. A fighter who, like I said, a switch hitter, somebody who can go from orthodox to southpaw seamlessly, a man who stops many of his opponents as a southpaw, even though naturally I'm pretty sure he is a right-hander. There's so much that Crawford can do in there, and I think you are seeing an absolutely incredible fighter who is still in his prime of his career. I think he's about 35, maybe 36 or something like that, Crawford, but he certainly is. I think he's definitely still got so much to give in the sport, and what a fighter. And then you go to his opponent, the truth, Errol Spence Jr., the man who holds the majority of the belts in the welterweight division. He is the WBA, WBC, and IBF welterweight champion of the world. A man who I said before is my favourite current active fighter in boxing, even though he isn't as active as I think I'd like him to be honest. I would like him to be a bit more active, but in some cases, I don't think I really blame Spence because, he had the car crash, he then had his eye retina. He's had just many issues inside, maybe not inside, but outside the ring, Spence. And you look at his last fight, he put on an absolute beating on Yordenis Ugas, who is one of the very best welterweights in the world. This fight really does have everything. If you look at Errol Spence, he is not a man who just gets wins over his opponents. He is a man who beats the fight out of his opponents. He went up to Kell Brook's home country, came to the UK, went to Bramall Lane, the Sheffield United Stadium. He went to Kell Brook and made him quit in his own city after breaking his orbital bone. He then fought Lamont Peterson and beat him so bad they had to stop it. He fought Mikey Garcia and outboxed him. He fought Sean Porter and beat him essentially at his own game. Went to war and scrapped with Porter and beat him. He then fought Yordenis Ugas after a long layoff. His eye was gone. Beat him. He had a life-threatening car crash and then went in against Danny Garcia. Wasn't by no means vintage Spence, but still dominated I found in that fight. What you're seeing is a guy who is, in my opinion, currently, even though I talked about Crawford, is the best welterweight in the world. His resume shows it. I think Crawford was the only thing, and you can maybe argue Keith Thurman, but he tried to fight Keith Thurman. That fight never happened, and I don't think that was Spence's fault. But what you're seeing with Errol Spence is a guy who comes forward, he throws multiple punches around, he sets a pace on guys that they just can't keep up with. Ugas is a great fighter, but he just got completely bullied by Spence. He hurt Spence when Spence was went looking for his gum shield, we should say, and then hurt him. And then the rounds after that, Spence just put a beating on him. It was one of the most impressive performances I think I've seen from a champion recently. And Spence just seems to be getting better and better, in my opinion. I don't think you look at Spence and think he's slowing down either. You think he would be with all that's happened to him, but there's something about him. He just keeps going. I think he might have possibly maybe the best cardio in boxing, and because the way this guy just keeps going and how is Crawford going to deal with that? That is the question. This is the two very best in boxing. You are seeing a fight that we are very lucky to have, and this has been an incredible year for boxing. You want to look at Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko. You know, there is some big fights happening at the moment in boxing. We potentially could have Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder at the end of the year. You know, we should have got Usyk Fury, but we all know what happened there. There's some massive fights going on. We've got Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor coming up. I don't think there's many years that have been as good as this for boxing. And I did a video of my top fights that I want to see 2023, and this fight was right at the top of the list, and thankfully we are getting it. And I think this is the fight that boxing needs. I'm not going to say it's like a modern day Mayweather Pacquiao, because one, that fight wasn't that long ago anyway, and also, you know, it just hasn't got the hype that Mayweather Pacquiao was two superstars, and these two are huge stars in boxing, just not there. But it is an incredible fight. Spence Crawford, July 29th, Las Vegas, all of the belts at the welterweight division. And I'm so happy we've got to see this before one of these guys get beat. Two guys that have never lost in the ring. You know, two guys, officially, I don't think either of them have touched the canvas either, neither of them been knocked down. It is the most incredible fight, an intriguing fight for boxing. And I think, regardless of the result, it's just great to have this fight. So Spence Crawford, I'm excited for this one. The most anticipated fight in boxing, the biggest fight in boxing is finally here. There is no more going on to this side of the street, that side of the street. No promoter issues. It's here. Spence Crawford. I'll do probably a few more videos on this leading up to it. And yeah, until next time.